Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the Breaking Yarn podcast. My name is Michaeli. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and this is my podcast where I talk about my knitting, my crocheting, and my yarn dyeing. You can find me online at breakingyarn.com or anywhere on social media at Breaking Yarn. Today I have 4 finished objects and 2 whips, plus a little bit of a life update for you. Actually, I have a finished object that I can wear. Just one moment. That's better. This is my first finished object. It's my notched hem tank. This is a pattern from Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern on their website. And I used a 100% cotton, Pima cotton from Terrapin Fiber Arts. The colorway is called You Look Like Seafood. And I loved knitting this. Sorry, my bra strap. Hide that. I loved knitting this. I alternated my skeins, but honestly, I'm not sure that I even needed to because, like, I know it's hard to see, but at the bottom, I didn't alternate skeins. I just went back and forth while I was working the flat rows, and I don't think it looks any different than the top part actually. So I don't even know if I needed to, but it has this nice little like pearl section down the sides. I can insert a video clip maybe of me wearing this so you can see the full thing, or insert the pictures I put on Instagram that my 4-year-old took for me. But yeah, so this is my first finished object. I'm happy to have it done, blocked, and off my needles. And now I can start another garment project. Yeah, so let me show you my other finished objects. My second finished object are my Saul Goodman socks. This is the Saul Goodman pattern, socks pattern I should say, but with a slip stitch heel, flap and gusset. And I was testing out, this is just a one-of-a-kind colorway that was in, that I dyed up on a new base. It's I believe it's an 80-20 base, and I wanted to test it out. I really enjoyed knitting with it actually, and it's like really soft and squishy. So it's a base I might consider carrying in my shop more of on a permanent basis. But yeah, I finished these. These were a part of Summer Sock Camp and the Breaking Yarn SSC 2024 cal that I did on Instagram, which is now closed. And congrats to Betty for winning a gift card to my shop for $25. So yeah, this is my finished object number 2. My next one is also socks, so I'm gonna switch these out real quick so you can see them on the sock blockers because I think it makes it look extra nice. So my next finished object are my Texture Me socks. I did all scraps for this. The main color is Coin Flip is Sacred, and that was from my Stria cardigan. And then I did stripes of Holly White, Marie Schrader, Crystal Meth, and Wayfarer 515 ribbon. And this pattern is from Jennifer. She's Alondria Knits on Instagram, and she did a 2024 sock challenge, sock knitting challenge this summer. And it wasn't that you needed to knit her patterns, but just knit any socks that were a challenge for you. And so the challenge for me on these socks were that I used all scraps. I am not really much of a scrappy project knitter. It's something that I maybe want to change, maybe want to try, get better at. I'm not sure how to say that, but yeah, that was definitely a challenge for me because but I still think they look super cute and like cohesive, because that's my problem, is that I think scrappy stuff is like, hopefully I don't get hate comments for this, but they look like messy and just like jumbled patterns and like colors that don't go together. So I kind of struggle with that a little bit. So that was a challenge for me to find some scraps that I felt coordinated together nicely. And I actually think they turned out super cute. Although they don't look traditionally scrappy, I do think I could knit this pattern up again with different colors that maybe don't match as well. This was a really fun pattern to knit, actually. It's a really simple texture. And this is a paid for pattern, so I don't want to say too much, but it's a really simple texture and it's easy to do stripes. You could make every single stripe different. Originally, when I first started this, I was going to do this fourth stripe was going to be Saul Goodman, and when I knit it up, and then I didn't like how it looked knitted up in this pattern, so then I ripped back and then did the Wayfarer 515. So I still struggled with the scrappy portion of it. I was gonna say that I could do each stripe a different scrap, and then have one main color just to kind of keep it a little bit more cohesive, but even that was a struggle for me because I didn't like how the Saul Goodman colorway knit up in this pattern. But yeah, so that make along is over as well, and I donated a $25 gift card to my shop for that make along as well. So that was my second finished object. I'm sorry, that was my third finished object because I'm wearing my first one. My fourth finished object and final one for this episode is one I didn't share anywhere on Instagram or anywhere, no sneak peeks really. This is a pattern that was kind of a secret project pattern, even though the pattern has been around for a really long time. The purpose of, I guess, knitting this has been a secret. But I knit that Clapotis. This is a pattern, a free pattern from Nitty Magazine, and it is a very long rectangle. And yes, I am showing you the back side, which is the right side in this pattern. And I knit this with 2 skeins of my Breaking Violet colorway. Here. 2 skeins of my Breaking Violet colorway. And Nitty Magazine is featuring indie dyers for this pattern. So we had to knit up this pattern. I think it was, she gave us a month to do it. So I kind of put all of my other projects on hold while I got this finished. And I worked on this every single night, every weekend, every single day. I worked on this until it was done, but it is done. It's basically a really long scarf. That's how I like to wear it, is like, I think like this. Let's see. Yeah, so she's basically just trying to feature this pattern in indie dyed colorways. And so there will be a contest that she will be announcing. If I have more of the details, I'll link it down below in the description by the time this comes out. At the time of recording this, I do not have all of the details, but I do know that they redid the pattern to include any weight yarn. There's also tons of notes on Ravelry that you can find. Ravelry, I think, has over 24,000 projects, so you can definitely find whatever it is that you're looking for. I did fingering weight, and I did 2 full skeins of this, and I did not follow the pattern as far as like how many repeats to do or anything like that. I did way more so that it would be long enough in the fingering weight, because I think the original pattern calls for worsted, or I think the original pattern calls for worsted, and I didn't want to do worsted, so I did fingering weight, but that means I had to do more repeats in order to get a good length for this. So this, they are doing a contest where you knit your own Clapotis, and then they will feature you in their magazine, and then if you win, I think if you win from that knit along, then you get to pick a prize, and 2 skeins of my fingering weight yarn that I featured here in Breaking Violet will be available as a prize as well. It's open worldwide, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of amazing other colorways as well to choose from if purple is not your jam. I just don't know what those look like yet because they have not come out, but as soon as they do, I will share about it. And yeah, it's super exciting, and I think it'll be a really fun project. I know that they were also going to take donations for the pattern designer on that. Knitty magazine said that at the time she could only pay her like $50 or something for the pattern, like a flat fee for the pattern. But then since it's just amassed this huge following, 24,000 projects on Ravelry, I think she's also doing a thing where you can donate to the pattern writer for that, so that you can kind of give her some extra support, I guess, during that, since it was such a popular pattern. She wanted to provide her with some additional support financially. So I think you can also donate to that pattern designer for this pattern, even though it's a free pattern on Knitty Mag. So I think that's great, and it was really fun to knit. I didn't mention too, if you haven't heard of this, I had never heard of this actually before this project, but you knit and then you drop down 1 stitch in between each thing. So there's like a specific way you do it, like you knit the first one before the marker through the back loop, and then you knit normal where the marker is, and then you knit through the back loop, and it kind of keeps this like structure. So when you drop down that not twisted stitch, it makes the cute ladders, and it kind of makes it ripply. They actually suggest that you do not block it either, so that's why it's a little bit more crinkled. Crinkly, I guess. Yeah, so that's why it looks a little bit more crinkly and folded and rolled up, because they suggest that you actually don't block it at all, which was actually fun, because then you can just weave in your ends and you're done and you know it's good. So yeah, that was object number 4. Now I have 2 whips to share with you. One you've seen before. I'm still slowly working on this. This is the Musselburgh hat. It's a pattern by Polka Dot Tee, and I am knitting this out of Ba yarn. I don't know if I have the tag in here. Oh, I should also show you my strawberry bag. This is a bag from Gabs of Slip Slip Sis, and I also have the yarn in a matching cozy. It's been staying super organized, which is awesome, and it's holding the yarn nicely. And this is a colorway from Ba yarn, and the colorway is called Raising the Bar. But I love all these colors. This was like the oldest skein in my stash, and I started knitting this back in May when we took a road trip out to California, since it was from, or the base is called La Jolla, and we went to La Jolla to see the little, what are they called? Sea lions? I think they were called sea lions. And they're little babies. They had little pups, sea lion pups, I guess. But yeah, so that's that. I am probably a little over halfway done on this hat. I have these little cute markers. These are from a shop on Etsy I forget what the shop on Etsy is called. I'll link it down below. But she makes stainless steel, like sterling silver stitch markers. And these are so fun to knit with. Like, I'm kind of obsessed with knitting with them. I want them for like every project I have because they're just so like cute and clean. Anyways, she knits now on Instagram, but it doesn't let me tag her, so oh wells. Yeah, so that's my first whip, and I have been not working on it a ton, and I will explain why as well. So I finished all these projects, and my daughter was going to be having open heart surgery at Stanford Children's in Palo Alto, California. It's right outside of San Francisco, and I wanted to knit her a project, and I also wanted to knit a project exclusively while on that trip, so that I can kind of keep my focus and my intentions on her, keep my thoughts and my prayers on her and her recovery and what was going on in the moment and for that trip. So I started a new project, and I will have to say too, one of my customers, followers, great people that are here that I've met online, is so amazing. Her name is Mary. She sent me an entire unopened advent from Suburban Stitcher, and it was called a very pink Christmas. So I don't know if you've seen that. I did not, purchase that or anything, but she sent it to me so that I could make a project for my daughter, and it was so sweet, and I was blown away, and especially blown away that it was unopened. And I just think that was so sweet, and it actually worked out perfect timing wise because we were able to use the advent as kind of like a countdown to surgery, and my daughter loved opening them. So every day I would have her open a day, and we'd mark off on her calendar like, this is when we're gonna leave. And then I started talking to her about projects. What kind of thing would you like me to make for you? She said she wanted a blanket, so I actually started a blanket for her, but I will also probably have enough scraps to either do a another Musselburgh hat, or I could do, I was thinking, I got this new tank pattern from Nicole, from Prof Pearl. She has this new tank pattern that I purchased for my daughter as well because it's just super cute, and I thought maybe I could actually knit that with the scraps. But let me show you what I am making for her. I started the Zigzag Zen pattern. This is a blanket pattern. And so you start, this is also a paid for pattern, so I don't want to say too much, but I will show you that you build it block by block. So I'm doing stripes, and I am mixing in, this is a DK weight pattern, so I am mixing in the stripes holly white, and then every other color that you see are from the advent, the very pink Christmas advent from Suburban Stitcher. And I'm loving how it's turning out. So you build the 2 blocks, and then you build 2 more blocks, and then I am working on this block, which will finish this block, and then you will like pick up all these stitches, pick up all of these ones, and I'll start building the next block. So I guess I'm on my 4th block because I have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This is the pattern is called Zigzag Zen. I'm trying to remember, I'll put it on the screen because I don't remember the name of the designer. My apologies. But for the yarn, since it's a advent, I labeled each bag. This one says 8, and I put 2 mini skeins in each baggie. And what I'm doing is holding these double. So holding one strand from one day, one strand from the other day, and I'm putting those together to make the DK weight. So it actually is a little bit of a marled texture as well for the other stripes. But I love how it's turning out, and I wanted to also make sure that once the blanket gets big enough, I would have enough yarn to do like the entire stripe, especially when they start to get wider, and the next one will just be even wider. So I wanted to make sure I would have enough, and I do believe I will have enough. I hope so. But yeah, that's my plan. I'm holding holly white from my shop double as well. Yeah, so holly white double, and then I'm holding the mini skeins double as well. I was thinking I might actually film a tutorial because I did not bring any tools with me on this trip. I just brought this bag of yarn. The pattern actually didn't say that I needed to have like a waste yarn or a darning needle or something to hold the stitches. And I was like, oh no, I might need to find like a Michaels or something. But I ended up figuring out, since I brought my ChiaoGoo red lace, I only brought this one needle though and cable. I did not bring the whole set. I was trying to go light. I knew I probably wouldn't have that much time to knit anyways, and didn't want to like overwhelm myself with all my notions and all my things. So I didn't bring like much of anything but the yarn and the needles. And I realized I didn't have a needle to kind of get these off of the needles so that I could start the next section. And so what I did is they have these little, I don't know if you can see this, but there's like little holes right here at the cable that I actually just thread through with my fingers, maybe a little bit of spread, thread it through that hole, and then pull it, just like pull your needles out, and in the process it lines the section with your waste yarn to hold the stitches. And that actually worked out perfect. I didn't end up even though I was like right next to a Michaels at one point, I didn't even bother to go, because I was like, nah, it's fine, I got it. It's working out pretty well. So I might do a tutorial on that just to show an additional use for that hole. It's mostly, I think, for lifelines, but this is, I guess this is kind of like a lifeline, but it's just holding stitches. So yeah, so that was the project I took exclusively with me to California, and I'm still obviously working on it, still knitting on this mostly exclusively. I only have that hat, but I really am only taking that hat on the go with me. So thank you so much to everyone who has prayed for my daughter. She is doing really well. The surgery went well. Of course, very stressful. And we've been back for a few days now, and I have been trying to catch up on sleep. Our little baby, he's 11 months old, but he doesn't sleep well outside of his crib, it seems. And so we did not sleep very much. And of course, my husband was staying in the hospital with my daughter overnight, and he wasn't sleeping much, you know, because ICU rooms and weird schedules and beeping and all the things, right? But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who said a prayer for her and us during that time. We really appreciate it. It worked, it helped. Her occupational therapist said that she was his quickest healer, and I think that's all because of prayer. So thank you so much. And I also wanted to extend out an offer. You know, if you need any prayer for anything, feel free to leave me a comment down below, or you can message me on Instagram if you don't want to put it publicly. I totally get that. But I actually really enjoyed praying for other people during that time as well. It kind of helped me just kind of give back a little bit and not be so selfish and like self-centered in that. So if you have any prayer requests, please feel free to message me on Instagram, and I would love to pray for you. So I think that's it for episode 58 of the Breaking Yarn podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a blessed day, a blessed week, and we'll see you next time.